This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto made a blood pact with a vengeful spirit. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no time, let's start the story.
Naruto then took the Genin exams, but despite his best efforts, he failed for the third time. His aspirations to become Hokage were far from unrealistic. He hoped that everyone would respect him, treat him with kindness, become his friends, or even adopt him into their family. However, for the time being, that was just a pipe dream. Naruto went to the forest by himself to reflect on his ninja abilities because he was struggling with Shadow Clone's jutsu and needed something to help him manage his chakra when using ninja techniques. Then, from behind the tree where he was sitting, he heard footsteps approaching. Naruto sat with his legs spread wide, closed his eyes, and listened to the footsteps. When the footsteps stopped, Naruto didn't even smile. He spoke because he didn't know who the footstep was. "I know you're there, oh Naruto, there you are." Naruto looks at one of the Jonin he recognizes. "Mizuki? Hi there kid. What are you doing here in the forest all by yourself?" Mizuki asked, grinning as she turned to face Naruto. "The forest? Well, it's where I go when I need to think." "Still mad you failed the exams?" "Yeah, I know how to make a shadow clone, but I can't keep my chakra in check like everyone else." "Well, there is a way for you to. Tell me where." "No, too far from here, go north and you will find an old hut where they keep the secret scrolls of ninjutsu. If you find that, then I'm sure you will pass the exams with no problem." Rising from the floor, Naruto said, "Thanks Mizuki." When Naruto vanished, Mizuki's smile turned into a grin and she said, "Yeah, good luck you loser." As Mizuki vanished in smoke, a small girl in a red dress was standing next to a tree. When the girl touched the tree, it was being sucked out of its life force and placed in her body, giving her some strength as she swiftly teleported away. Afterwards, Naruto was looking through the scrolls he had just received, reviewing all the ninjutsu he could learn, and he found the shadow clone. He read the scroll quickly, gaining the information he needed. The sound of animals being frightened away was accompanied by footsteps. Using the tree as a cover to avoid detection, Naruto leapt high in the tree and then noticed Mizuki searching for something or someone below. "Damn. He's not here. Well, if I find him with the scrolls, I'll just kill him and give them to Orochimaru-sama." That idiot Naruto is so unlikable that even Iruka is afraid of him. After leaping from the tree, Naruto suddenly launched a great bind attack on Mizuki using his left knee. He then grabbed Mizuki's arm and pinned him to one knee, asking, "What was that about killing me?" "Naruto. There you are. Why are you holding Mizuki down?" Iruka then appears. Naruto grinned and sat on Mizuki's back while holding the traitor's arms raised in the air, saying, "Because Iruka-sensei, this traitor planned to kill me and take the scrolls." "What, that a lie, Iruka? Naruto has lost it. He crazy. I found Naruto here reading the scrolls and he attacks me." Naruto then sat his ass on Mizuki's head, forcing the traitor to eat worms and dirt like the worm he is. "Iruka-sensei, don't believe this traitor words. I don't want you as my enemy." Then Mizuki escaped Naruto's grasp and struck Iruka in the chest with a dagger, saying, "Iruka-sensei." Hurrying forward, Naruto air kicks Mizuki in the face, tying him to a tree and sending him crashing to the ground. "Damn fox. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm here to kick your ass. I'm not a fox," Naruto shouted. Mizuki then grinned and burst out laughing. "What's so funny?" Naruto inquired. "You don't get it, do you? Guess you haven't even tried and find out why everyone hate you so much. Why you have no friend. Ha 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 ha." "I have friends, so I have no idea what you're talking about," the courageous person shouted. "Ha ha 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 ha, whatever you say. If you want to know why everyone hate, why you have no one to love, because you are the nine-tailed fox who attacked the village 12 years ago." Mizuki shouted clearly and loudly for Naruto to understand, and Naruto was shocked beyond belief. His world was shattering like glass as Naruto let his guard down, so it's no wonder that no one dared to play with him as a child. Mizuki used this opportunity to hit him down. But before he could, Naruto gained a new strength in his heart as he yelled out loud, "Multi-shadow clone jutsu." In a cloud of smoke, thousands upon thousands of Naruto sat in the tree, staring down at him with smiles on their faces. Some of them were angry, while others were upset. "Get him!" the group of Narutos yelled as they begun their attack on Mizuki. Still in disbelief and unable to accept that everything Mizuki had said was true, Naruto approached the real Naruto and extended his hand. When Naruto looked up at this Naruto, he noticed that he was a year older than the others. The pirate Naruto was dressed in an 18th century outfit, with a red bandana around his head, a hat over his head, a brown jacket, brown pants, a sword, and a gun on his right hip. He removed his hat and bowed his head to Naruto, who had no idea what was happening. "Are you okay, Captain?" The pirate Naruto asked his counterpart. Naruto nodded as pirate Naruto yelled out loud. Hyo, the captain, alright, cheer of ramen and rum. The other Narutos cried out in delight as they engaged in combat. Who are you? Naruto questioned his pirate self. My name is Captain Naruto Sparrow, and I am a priest in my village from a different time and place, although I never learned any jutsu in my world. It appears that your multi-shadow no jutsu trick accidentally brought me here. I wonder why. I find that using swords and guns is more enjoyable, and nothing compares to enjoying a bottle of rum and a warm bowl of ramen. Naruto Sparrow smiles and laughs. Can I please send you back so you are aware that this won't have any impact on the timeline or anything else? Naruto perspires in anxiety. Why ya be doing that for, mate? This be the only time I see myself face to face without looking into a mirror. Additionally, nothing negative occurs in my timeline, so don't worry, kid. Naruto Sparrow gave Naruto a hard pat on the back and said, one more thing, Captain Uzumaki. Yes, what is it? Naruto asks Sparrow. You're not going to let the little lady wait for you, are you? Sparrow behind Naruto as all of his shadow clones vanished in a matter of seconds after Naruto turned out. Oh, Naruto said in a low voice as he saw a young girl in front of him clutching a toy bunny, her hair long and black, her eyes hidden behind her hair, her red dress, no shoes, and her hands and feet covered in blood. Naruto knelt down to her level and grinned at the child, asking, hello, what's your name? A voice whispered in Naruto's head, why did you summon me here? As the young girl took a single step toward him without saying anything. What? Naruto got up, turned around, and looked around to see where the voice was coming from. He felt a slight tug on his jacket and looked down at the 8-year-old girl. Why did you summon my spirit? Why did you bring me here? Naruto asked. Is that voice coming from you? Naruto asked the young girl, but she remained silent once more. Yes, I believe I accidentally summoned your spirit prior to using the shadow clone jutsu. I used a number of other jutsu. I apologize for calling you by accident. Little girl, I didn't mean to wake you up. Please let me know if there is anything I can do to get you back. Will you join me in play? Yes, I will play with you. Naruto grinned. Little girl, what is your name? The young girl suddenly grinned and giggled a little. You promise you'll play with me? She asked. Yes, what would you like to play? I swear. Then make a blood pledge. With blood? If you truly do promise to play with me, then make a promise in your own blood, the youngster said with a nod. Naruto grabbed a knife and slashed his right hand, causing blood to drip from it. The young girl grabbed his hand, and as soon as she got it out, he felt a very, very, very powerful energy suddenly flow through his body. Something deep inside Naruto's soul roared in pain, as if it were being killed by something far more evil than it. When the young girl whispered, Alma, my name is Alma Wade and I look forward to playing with you, Mr. Naruto. Naruto lost consciousness. When Iruka woke him up, Naruto noticed that Alma had disappeared and that there were only 2 tiny footprints left. Was it a dream? A full month has passed since Naruto's encounter with Alma and his transformation into a Genin ninja. Today is a lovely, peaceful day for Naruto and his team to play the Chunin exams, but he didn't feel like getting up and just wanted to sleep all day. Monday was one of those days when Naruto wanted to sleep in without any missions. Sasuke making him look like a loser, or Sakura yelling at him. Naruto only wanted to sleep. He had no problems or worries about anything else. However, as he lay on his stomach, Naruto felt hands on his back. Grabbing the covers, Naruto pulls them over his head and murmurs, "No, leave me alone today." Then the unidentified individual seized his cover and tore them from him. Naruto groaned as he felt a cold, gentle hand poke him in the left cheek, touching the lines of his whiskers. "Awaken," the voice said. Naruto opened his left eye slowly and saw that Alma was sitting there. Staring at him, he gasped and hurried back to the bed's corner. As the boy gazes back into Alma's icy black eyes, Alma looks at Naruto. Naruto said, "It's you, Alma. What are you here for?" "I'd like to play," Naruto sighs, Alma, as he recalls the vow he made to her a month prior.